Posekete. Posekete. What did I say? How are you doing? What do you answer? You say Carlos. I'm well, right? Carlos well, or you well. If you're doing badly, you can say kakos. So, posekete. Hey, you're sitting in Greek. You need to say Carlos, okay? You're doing well when you're in here. Okay. Today, alethos, everybody. Alethos. That's a question. How do you know? It's got a semicolon, a.k.a. question mark, Greek question mark. And it means really? So somebody says something to you, you don't know if you should believe it or not. Alethos? Truly? Really? Okay. Posekete, you could say kalson estin, it is hot. And then I'll say alethos, you're like, well, it's temperate. Okay. Did you follow that? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean.
Temperate. It's thermos, warm. Okay. Alrighty. Well, we're moving right along to chapter 10. Third declension, okay? You've learned first and second and the 2-1-2 pattern. Now we move on to the third of the Greek declensions. By the way, how many Greek declensions are there? 27. Okay. Okay, no, there's three. There's just three. Okay. This is the last one. The last of the declensions. All right. First declension usually has a stem ending in alpha or eta. Second declension, stem ending in omicron. Third declension usually has a stem ending in a consonant. Good. Now, that's what makes the third declension the most difficult of the declensions. What you're going to notice is that you have stem changes between the nominative and the genitive. So the way these words are going to be listed in your vocab list, you need to make sure that you learn both the nominative and the genitive. So this word sarx, sarkas is feminine. So it would be hey, sarx, sarkas. Now because of these stem changes, you have to go to the genitive ending to find your stem. And in just a few minutes, you'll see why the stem changes as it does in the nominative. Okay. Here are some of the rules of change that you're going to see. A nu followed by sigma is going to drop. A nu followed by sigma is just going to drop out. A ta followed by a sigma will drop out. Follows from that a nu ta followed by a sigma will drop out, because first that ta will drop out in front of the sigma, and then the nu will follow. So you end up with just sigma. A ta at the end of a word will drop off. It will just go away. Okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing you need to know to help you with these stem changes is what's called the square of stops. Square of stops. Has anybody taken a linguistics class? Do you know what a stop is? Yeah. Yeah. So linguists categorize letters based on where they're articulated and how they're articulated. A stop is a letter that is articulated by first blocking the flow of air and then sort of bursting back through. There are three categories of stops. Labials. Where's the point of articulation for labials? The lips. What are our labials in English? P, B, and f is a kind of labial. It's a fricative labial. Okay, so in Greek you're going to have pi, beta, and phi. Now, the difference in these three is that some are voiced, some are voiceless, and some are aspirated. So if you put your fingers right here on your neck, okay, don't squeeze too hard, and articulate a pi, you get no vibration, right? Now articulate a beta, b, 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 and you get the vibration. So the pi is voiceless, and the beta is voiced. Isn't this interesting? Okay, and then the phi is what we call aspirated, meaning we're just adding a puff of air with the labial. So the b becomes like that. Okay? Then you have what are called velars. Comes from a Latin word that means awning. So the velars are letters that are articulated on the roof of the mouth. Yeah, question? I mean, that's the bottom line, isn't it? Is it going to be on the test? Probably not. I mean, but I think if you go through this process and understand it, it will help you remember the square of stops. Right? So what are our velar letters that are pronounced up there? G, 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 gamma, kappa, and aspirate it, and you get a chi. So again, k, 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 voiceless, g, 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 voiced. The chi has that air hissing out with it. And then finally you have dentals. Dentals are articulated on the teeth. So the dentals are delta, tau, and theta. Tau is voiceless, delta is voiced. Okay? And that's your square of stops. So what's the point? Here's the point, is that letters in the same category are going to react in the same way when they combine with a sigma. So any labial combined with a sigma is going to give you, guess. A psi, right? Psi. Just becomes a psi. A velar plus a sigma will become a xi. And a dental plus a sigma will become just sigma alone. Remember the rule over here. Tau before the sigma drops. Actually, any dental before a sigma drops. Okay. Questions on that? Not so bad, right? Here are your third declension endings. First thing you need to know about third declension is that nouns of this declension can be masculine, feminine, or neuter. First declension, the nouns are usually feminine. Second declension, nouns are either masculine or neuter. Third declension nouns can be masculine, feminine, or neuter. However, masculine and feminine both use exactly the same endings in this declension. And those are your endings. And the accusative, you have the alternative ending new that's used for some nouns. There's your singular. And the plural, there, with a movable new in the dative plural. Now here's the easiest way I think to remember these. Pronounce all of them as if they make a single word. Sacia. Everybody say sacia. Sacia. Now this maybe is a sentence. Esoncias. Sacia esoncias. Okay, and this is what you're doing when you walk into your next class. People think you're talking in tongues, right? Sacia esoncias, sacia esoncias, sacia esoncias. And now you already know the third declension, right? Okay. There's also a third declension neuter. And the endings are similar, but not exactly the same. There's no ending in the nominative and accusative singular. And the nominative and accusative plural become a instead of s and as. Okay, so Apply the same thing here. Pretend like you sort of got a burp when you've got to Aussie, okay? Aunsia. Aussie, aunsia. Do it. Aussie, aunsia. Okay? And that's it. Okay. So I have already put the paradigms up on Blackboard, all the words you'll need to know for this chapter. Uh-oh. It's not coming up. There it is. Are you able to see that? Okay. First, the third declension neuter. If it's got a mot in its stem, it's probably going to be a neuter. And this is one of the difficult things about third declension is it's hard to predict what the gender will be. So how are you going to learn the gender of these third declension nouns? The best way is the article when you do the lexical form. This is going to be ta, anima, anamatas. And now you know it's going to be neuter. So what's the stem of this word? Animat. How do you know? You go to the genitive and drop the os. What's happened to the ta at the end of the stem in the nominative? Remember the rule? A ta at the end of the word drops. Anamat plus e. Anima with no ending again because we're in the neuter. A ta at the end of the word drops. Anamata, anamatone. What's happened in the dative plural, anamasin? A ta followed by a sigma drops, right? Okay, so that makes sense. What you need is, you need to know the endings, you need to know these rules, you need to know the square of stops, and none of these stem changes are going to be any surprise to you. Okay, so now you have the masculine and feminine pattern. Sarx happens to be a feminine word, so it's hey, sarx, sarkos. What's the stem? Drop the os, the stem is sark. What's happened in the nominative? Your endings are sasia, asoncias. Where's your sigma gone? A kappa at the end of the stem has combined with the sigma ending to give you a xi.
So would the lexical form still be the nominative singular? Like if
Yes. Yeah, it'll be under sarx. Where else has something weird happened? Stop me when I get there. Dative plural, what's happened? The kappa at the end of the ending, at the end of the stem, has combined with the sigma at the beginning of the ending to make a xi. So it becomes sarxin. So it's going to be the nominative singular and dative plural where most of these changes happen. Here in the neuter, the nominative and accusative singular where the ta drops off. All right? What does anima mean? Name. Yeah. What does sarx mean? Flesh. What's a sarcophagus? It's literally a flesh eater. It's a flesh eater. It engulfs the flesh. Is that where sarcasm comes from?
Never heard that. Sark.
No, that could be.
Flesh or whatever.
That could be. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah,
Well, I
a
know
dig.
sark means.
Making a dig at somebody into their flesh. Okay. All right. So there are some other third declension words. This is not a noun. This is an adjective. Pasapon. So we're back to adjectives. The adjectives you learned previously were 2-1-2 adjectives. This happens to be a 3-1-3 adjective. Okay? So what declension do we follow in the masculine? Third masculine, first feminine, third neuter. Okay, now what's the stem of this word? Drop the os, it's pont. What's happened in the nominative? Neuta followed by sigma drops. Okay, where else does that happen?
The accusative singular.
Well, here in the dative plural. Okay, skip the feminine for a second and go to the neuter. What's happened in the nominative? There's no ending in the neuter nominative. Ta at the end of the word drops. Ta at the end of the word drops. And again, the dative plural, new ta before sigma drops. Okay? Now, the feminine is different because it added another letter called the consonantal iota to the stem. And the consonantal iota just wreaks havoc on everything. And what results in this case is just a sigma. So it looks like it's a completely different stem, but it originally wasn't. Note, though, that this is following the ace first declension pattern, which is more rare, but we've seen other words like that. Doxa, doxase also follows that pattern. All right. And then finally, tis. The interrogative pronoun, which means who, and has an accent. What's happened in the nominative to your stem? Tenos. The stem should be ten, right? Nu followed by sigma drops. So you follow the same rules again, and that accounts for all those changes there. There is another word, tis. It's an indefinite pronoun and means someone. It's a completely different word. What's the only difference? Yeah, accent on the interrogative, no accent on the indefinite. And then finally, this word, heis, mia, hen, also follows the pattern. It means one. Heis, mia, hen. What's the stem in the nominative? Hen. What's happened in the... the stem is hen. What has happened in the nominative? The nu dropped before the sigma, and it compensated for a loss. It's called compensatory lengthening, right? Think of it as the word now feels inadequate because it lost something, right? And so now it hits the gem, beefs itself up a little bit by adding a iota in there. But the stem is hen, and the same in the neuter, except it doesn't feel inadequate at all because it's neuter. It doesn't have to try to feel masculine about itself. Okay? And the feminine is just a completely different root altogether. All right, so the third declension is harder in one sense, right? Because you have all these changes happening, but really there's just a handful of rules that if you apply them, they consistently account for those changes. Sacia es oncias. Say it. Sacia es oncias. Boom. All right, questions before I go on? Yes?
What's the new in the parentheses for?
That's an alternate ending. There are some words that will use the alternate ending nu. Oh, it's a movable nu, which means it's optional, except it's always there in the New Testament, but it's theoretically optional. Okay, other things? All right. So real quick on the adjectives, let's summarize the different adjective patterns you can have. You can have 2-1-2. You can have, we can have 2-2. Remember, we saw that in the last chapter, words like ionios, ionion. What gender is ionios? Masculine or feminine? And second declension neuter. Okay? And now we've seen with pos, you can have 3-1-3. You can also have 3-3 words, like tis, which is tis in the masculine and feminine, and t in the neuter. All right.
How do we know that?
How do you know that a word is a 2-2 or a 3-3? Well, for ones like this, you'll know because it looks like the nominative masculine of the second declension and the nominative neuter of the second declension, right? But ones like tis t, it's really not obvious, right? And that's one reason why they introduced the full paradigm, which I put up here. Is once you know that and you know that the genitive is tenos, you know that os ending in the genitive is going to be third declension. So sometimes it'll be obvious by looking at it. Sometimes it might not be. But just don't worry so much. Let's look at the vocab.
You haven't given us our example inside yet.
Okay, we'll get there. Ready? First, tell me this first word in the list. What's the adjective pattern? 212, 22, 313, or 33? It's 212. How do you know? Because those are the endings in the nominative of the second, first, and second declension. Okay. Hagias, Hagia, Hagion. A. Ame. Heis, Mia, Hen. Ede. Ta anima, anamatas. Udes, Udemia, Uden. Look carefully at that. What is it? It's heis miahen, the word for one, with the negative not put in front of it. Ud heis miahen. So it's not one, but no one. Yeah. All right. Pas, pasapon. Peri. And remember to memorize what it means with the genitive and how it's different when it's with the accusative. Okay. Hey, sark, sarkos. Soon. Very soon. Ta soma, somatas. Ta teknon, teknu. Tis ti. Tis ti. All right. 56.32%. How much did you go up? 4%, right?
Yeah.
Something like that? Okay. You still know more than half the words in the New Testament. Congratulations. Okay. How are we feeling? Overwhelmed. Which part is particularly overwhelming? So much memorization, right? There's a lot of memorization involved in Greek, and this is one of the arguments that some people use for why you should teach your children Greek and Latin, why you should give them a classical education, is because it teaches you discipline, right? Now, what you have to convince people, though, is that the payoff at the end is worth it. And there is, granted, a lot of memorization at the beginning. But as we go, we're going to be reading more and more. When you start dipping into the Greek New Testament, you're holding it in your hands. And you can just feel holiness exuding from it. It's radiating from it. It's all going to be worth it. Okay? Just have to get there. We'll probably do some later this semester. Right, Emily? Yep. She said yep. Okay. I know. My workbook's falling apart. Somebody actually gave me an extra one. I'm just trying to wait till it's on its last leg. All right, page 31. You accidentally.
I actually do have two MLA handbooks on accident.
Nerd. MLA nerd.
I haven't read them, but
All right.
I have two of them.
Write out the master paradigm endings. You can do that on your own time. You can do that for fun later instead of a Sudoku puzzle. And just fill out some declension endings. Let's go down to the parsing and see what Cedric can do. Sarky.
Right after learning it.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go. Some of it's still there. Sarky. Well, the first thing you need to know is the lexical form. It comes from hey, sark, sarkos. I would just glance at the vocab list for this chapter. Probably most of these are going to come from that list. It comes from hey, sark, sarkos. Now you know what declension it follows, right? Because when you see sark, sarkos, you look at the genitive, and you see that the ending in the genitive is os. What declension has a genitive ending in os? Anybody? Only the third declension has a genitive ending in os. Okay, let me stop there for a second. I want to show you why things get harder here. Well, you already knew that things got harder here. Let me show you another reason why they're getting harder here. Logos. Sarkos. They both look the same, right? What case is that? Nominative. What case is that? Say nominative. It's not nominative. It's genitive. How do you know? But how do you know that?
You have to know the article. You have to
The article will help. You'd have to know the whole lexical form, nominative and genitive. That's really the answer. The article alone won't tell you, because there are some third declension nouns that are masculine, and so it could be, well, technically the article couldn't be the same, but you could have masculine article on both. You would have to know that this is os u, right? Ha lagos lagu, and that this is he sark sarkos. By knowing that, that's got to be second declension. That's got to be third declension, right? That's why knowing the lexical form is so important. So, third declension. And now you know that Yoda is the ending for what number in gender and case in the third declension? Sasia esoncias. Sasi. Dative. Yep. Dative. Singular. All right, it's feminine, and you wouldn't know that by looking at it. You know it because when you memorize the lexical form, you memorized it as hey, sark, sarkos, hey, sark, sarkos, hey, sark, sarkos, feminine. All right, and the inflected meaning would be, because it's dative, to flesh, to flesh. Tis but a flesh wound. Okay, tenos. Jessica can do it.
No. They're so awful at
Tenos.
sight doing these things.
So the first thing is lexical form, right? It comes from tis t. There it is. Tis t, which is a 3-3 adjective pattern.
So, genitive?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you know if it's singular?
Well, that os ending can only be
Oh,
genitive
looking at
singular.
it, do you reverse it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's singular. And neuter?
Could be.
It said it in the book, says this word means why. It will usually be neuter. So are we going to say
It's going to mean y when it's in the accusative, when it looks like
Okay.
t.
so it could be either?
It could be the masculine feminine tenos or the neuter tenos.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
from tis t.
tis-
And it means?
ooh, what?
Yeah, except it's genitive, so it's,
No.
what's our key word for the genitive?
Of.
Of what? Of whom? Make sure you say of whom. I'm going to speak proper English in here. Okay? Why is it not of who? Because it's the object of a preposition, and the objective case of our interrogative pronoun is whom. So of whom. All right, do a couple more. Slytherin, passos. No. Well, first tell me what the lexical form is. Yeah. Pas, passapon. Okay, so it's following a 313. This is a tough one. You have to think about several things here because that, remember, sasia esoncias, that looks like it could be an accusative masculine or feminine plural, right? Os, but it's not. How do you know that's not what you're looking at? Because the stem of that word would be neutal, right? Pont. Remember, it's pont in the masculine and neuter. Pont. We don't have pont, we have pas. That's the stem in the feminine. Do you remember? Pas, pasa, pon. You're looking at the feminine column. And now you're thinking, why is it not genitive? It's because it's an a-ace first declension pattern. Pasa, pases, passe, pasan. Pasai, pason, pasais, pasas. So it's the feminine plural, yeah, feminine accusative plural.
Okay. Masculine, feminine, singular.
All right, from, yes, but not masculine or neuter, right? And what would it mean?
Every.
Yeah, every or all. Okay, Rachel, you're afraid that I'm going to call on you. I wasn't going to, I was just going to say your name. Okay, let's do a little exercise. See how well you get this stuff. Look at the vocab list and see if you can decline. You know what I mean when I say decline, right? Fill out, complete the paradigm of stem plus endings. Decline the word technon.
Wait, we're gonna turn this in, or do we keep it? That way I know if I can run the back.
I don't know. Maybe I'll come around and check it. You can just do it on your own paper. Decline technon and the word above it, soma. Soma? I don't know. I don't remember. It was called Soma? Yeah. All right. What declension does teknon follow? Okay, how do we know that? Because we got on u, and that's how you memorized it. With the article too. Ta teknon teknu. So there are two ways you know this is going to be second declension. Neuter. How do you know it's neuter? The article ta, and because the ending on. Ta teknon teknu. So on, u, o, on. And in the plural, tek, na, on, ois, ah. Okay. Now Wesley's not allowed to talk anymore. Okay. He knows too much. Okay. Soma. What declension is it? Third, how do we know? Okay, you could be looking at soma and thinking that's definitely first declension, like hora horas, right? And how do you know it's not? Say it. Because the genitive is somatos. You got an os in the genitive, that can only be what declension? Third is the only declension that has os in the genitive. Okay? Is it masculine, feminine, or neuter? Neuter. How do you know? Because the article ta soma somatos, and it uses no ending in the nominative. And the ta at the end of the word has dropped off, right? Ta soma somatas somati soma. So the same thing is going to happen in the accusative. You're going to lose your ta and use no ending. Now since your stem is somat, now it's going to be somata, somatone. But what's going to happen in the dative plural? Yeah, the ta followed by the sigma is going to drop off. All right. So there's 16 forms there. Who got all 16 right? Okay, a couple people. Who got at least one right? Who got at least one of the 16 forms right? Okay, good. Keep your hand up if you got at least 5 right. Okay, 10. Okay, all right, so where we go wrong? You get this one? Okay, which one? This one hard? Okay, do you understand now how to do it? You have to have the lexical form, article, nominative, and genitive. And in looking at the article, nominative, and genitive, those 3 things can tell you, beyond any doubt, what the declension and gender is that you need to follow. Okay, so ask me, come on. Ask me your question. Why does it not make sense? Who has one thing that they're not fully confident they understand? Yeah, Cedric. Where's the ta? Well, you don't have to put the article there, but in the lexical form, it's going to be ta onomatos. Oh, where does it come from? Where do you find the stem in a third declension noun? Everybody? Go to the genitive, drop the os. That's your stem. Somat. So that will be your stem everywhere unless something causes it to drop out. Ta at the end of a word drops. A ta before a sigma drops. Everywhere else it remains. Yeah. Uh-huh. No, go ahead.
So when it's in third declension, like you find that out first, and then you know that the genitive is going to have the os at the end, and you drop it.
Well, the first thing you're going to see is that the genitive has the os before you know it's the third declension. Because by knowing the lexical form. That's why you memorize it as soma, somatos. Now that you've memorized it that way and see that the os is in the genitive, only then do you know it's third declension. Yeah. Make sense? Yeah. Plural. It's movable, except it's usually there. So. All right. Other things? Yes. The neuter, remember, doesn't use sasia endings. It uses the burp endings, the asi with no ending. Remember that? So since there's no ending, the ta at the end of the word drops. All right. We got it? I want you to feel good about this. Okay. Because it doesn't make sense?
No, just because it's a lot of
Memorization.
at one time, so
Okay.
it takes a little bit.
Uh-huh.
The line like right after the first part of the word.
The stem.
Yes. So that
I'm just showing you, I'm just separating the stem and the endings for you. There's no space. There's no,
felt like
yeah.
just like take this part.
There's no wall of separation between them. It's just, okay. Let's do a sentence in here. Well, let's just do a couple warm-up ones. Now, Aragon. Tell me what this says. Alpha. Sound it out in Greek. Are you asking me a question? Alethos. Okay. First things first. Mentally, you're going to parse every word. Mentally. So you're going to tell me what case these words are. To, anamati are both the same case. Notice something about this, though. To is the dative article, right? Anamati is also dative. However, those endings don't look the same, do they? So what you see is that third declension nouns don't have to agree with the article in declension. The article is still basically following a 2-1-2 pattern. Those article forms will stay the same. These are going to be both dative singular, though. Make sense? Okay. Dative singular, to, anamati. How about mu? It's genitive. Yeah, that's the genitive of the word ego. All right, so remember your keyword for the dative and your keyword for the genitive. What does this say? To the name of me. Yeah, to the name of me. All right, beta. Tein agapein, tein es pantas tus hagius. Now, how are you going to help organize this? Organize this stuff. What do you see that's going to help you organize it? Ace, preposition. It takes the accusative. So ace and the object of the preposition is going to make up a prepositional phrase, and I'll just close that all off. What do you have left outside your parentheses? Say it. Well, Marcus, what's left outside your parentheses? Yes. Okay, now it might look funny with that tain, that second tain just hanging there, right? But who can explain why that tain is hanging there in front of a prepositional phrase? Remember attributive position? Like when you have ha anthropos, ha agathos. Yes? Anybody? Okay. When you have an adjective with an article modifying a noun, it's an attributive position because it has the article. Now, that article can function the same way in front of a prepositional phrase. What's that second tain doing here? Yes. It's showing that the prepositional phrase is attributive of tain agapein. The prepositional phrase is modifying tain agapein. So what does this say? Wesley, what does this say? The love that is in all the saints. It could be toward all the saints, because sometimes that ace is a motion toward idea. The love toward all the saints. Colossians, right? Colossians 1:6. That's my guess. Wait, don't deprive me of this moment. Is this Colossians 1:6? Ephesians 1:15.
So is Agus there substantive?
Yes, you could say the holy ones if you want to. That still makes it substantive. It's using the masculine article, so if you wanted to say towards all the holy men, you could. But you see now why gender-inclusive language can be a good thing, right? Because Paul's churches weren't just made up of men. He does, however, use the masculine article. So if you want to say the holy ones to keep it gender-inclusive, I'm fine with that. If you want to say towards all the holy men, you're entitled to do that too, because grammatically it's a masculine article. Makes sense. All right. Everybody, just take a deep breath. All right. And now tickle yourself a little bit. Okay? It's just going to take a little bit of practice. Sasia esoncias. Sasia esoncias. Nu before sigma drops, ta before sigma drops, a ta at the end of a word drops, your square stops thing. Okay? Just a few little things to remember there. Put it all together, and what do you get? Perfect test grades on the third declension. Okay? So, what are you doing for homework?
Workbook for chapter 10.
You're doing workbook for chapter 10. So, everything except the evens on translation. Okay? So, do the odds on translation.
Wait, so does that include the additional stuff? That's what.
Not the additional, no. There's 27, yeah. No, there's 3. It's just 3. That's it. You're done. You're done with the nouns.